welcome to the Gaia update for the full moon in Leo, February 10th, 2017. I'm Adrienne Elise. I'm here because I'm passionate about helping people have an empowered awakening experience. We're living in an amazing time on the planet, and I want to help people make the most of this experience. So I hope you'll check out my offerings at adrienneelise.com. Well, this full moon is one of the most powerfully aspected full moons I've ever seen, and it's very harmonious. What's happening is that the sun and the moon are opposite each other. That's what makes a full moon. So the full moon is in Leo, and then the sun is in Aquarius, opposing each other. And then just directly mirroring that is this opposition, the strongest astrology we're feeling in the sky right now, which is this Jupiter opposing Uranus, which is making a T-square with Pluto. The whole energy of 2017, that Pluto-Uranus square of the last 4 or 5 years, they've come out of the square, but now Jupiter is heavily triggering this square for the whole year, and the dance is in where the personal planets come in and trigger the square. So Jupiter is turning retrograde. It has turned retrograde on February 7th. And what that does is it sets up this powerful energy of hanging out with this opposition with Uranus, moving back into that square with Pluto, and then back into the opposition with Uranus. And so the whole year is really about this Jupiter triggering this square. Now, this is really intense right now because we just had this Jupiter turn retrograde and kind of getting deeper into this. What's the Jupiter is bringing the expansion, it's bringing the light, it's bringing understanding to the Pluto-Uranus square. But it's also the Pluto and Uranus are the closest that they will be in 2017 right now. So this is just really highlighted. But the full moon in Leo is speaking about finally being able to express the energy, express the truth of who we really are according to this revolution that's been going on between these planets. Pluto and Uranus is revolutionary change, and with Uranus and Aries, it has to do with the self, has to do with the identity, it has to do with a rebirth of humanity. And this is so powerful right now because this Jupiter opposing Uranus and all the aspects to both Jupiter and Uranus with this full moon, it's really shining the light in this full moon lunar eclipse on what we really want to express but have not yet been able to. So this is the first eclipse of this cycle as the nodal axis is moving into the Leo-Aquarius axis. So the north node is moving into Leo in May, but this is the first lunar eclipse of that cycle. So this is a partial lunar eclipse in Leo, and then the other eclipses in Leo-Aquarius are going to happen in August of this year. So we're going to have a culmination period of time. We're starting this journey into expressing the truth of who we are and what it is is been going on behind the scenes. It's time to bring that forward. Now that really fits with the energy of the Fire Rooster. 2017 in Chinese astrology is the year of the Fire Rooster, and that energy really speaks to this full moon, to the Leo nodes, and to all of this Uranus energy. The rooster is fearless, and the rooster is willing to sing their song no matter if it's annoying anyone. And that's a good energy that we're looking at right now. This fearlessness, we're having a fire trine in the sky, and the fire is about, we're going to burn through it and we're not even going to think about it. And that is kind of a powerful energy right now that's bringing harmony. Triangle energies are harmony, so it's harmonized fire. And with that Uranus and Aries, it's a harmonized awakening. And so the fire trine is saying, hey, it's time to break through these barriers, to express the truth of who we really are, to bring forward an expression in this world of all of the changes that have been happening within. And that's the what's coming forward for people is the truth of who they really are, what they really care about, what really matters to them. So we're having so much fire energy with that beautiful fire trine, but we also have our two main personal planets, Venus and Mars, the male and female parts of ourselves in Aries right now. And so this is a really fiery time where things are sparking and happening and emotions are moving and moving fast. And so it is a time to just grab onto this energy of activation and make a commitment to yourself to be that fire rooster this year, to express yourself no matter what anybody else thinks, and also to bring forward that courage, for your own awakening. So Venus in Aries is really potent, and it's speaking to this whole year, but particularly spring of 2017. We have a Venus retrograde this year. Venus turns retrograde at the beginning of March, and we're already feeling it. This is really interesting. So Venus and Mars are there in Aries, and Venus is getting ready for a retrograde. The retrograde will mean that Venus stays in Aries for 3 whole months, and that's really intense because Venus is soft, but it represents what we really love and what we really care about. And so we're having there in Aries is this kind of like getting to the core of that, a rebirth of the goddess, a rebirth of the feminine, rebirth of the Venus energy within us. And so it's really interesting because in order to have a rebirth of the feminine, of course, we have to have a recalibration of the masculine. And Venus and Mars were both just in Pisces. And in January, one by one, first Mars and then Venus came up with Chiron in Pisces, the wounded healer, speaking to the wounds of the past, speaking to the energy of conformity, of persecution, and of suppressing the parts of ourselves that were not acceptable to society. Now, the Fire Rooster is saying, yeah, throw all that out the window. And a great support for this is this mystical rectangle that's happening between these oppositions, the Sun and the Moon opposition and the Jupiter Uranus opposition, creating this mystical rectangle. And this is about manifestation, and it's about stepping outside of the box. So when Venus and Mars came up with Chiron, the wounded healer, squaring Saturn. And Saturn's like, you guys, let's make it real. Let's get to work on this. And so we're getting to work on deep healing of the archetypes of the male and female that have been keeping us repressed. So Venus in Aries is a rebirth of the goddess, but as it goes into the retrograde, it's going to go back into Pisces, and it's going to come up when it starts to go direct, right before it goes direct, pretty much the middle of April. It's going to be hanging out right there with Chiron again, the wounded healer. And so it's like Venus is saying, okay, it's time for a rebirth of the goddess. It's time for this identity revolution inside of each of us with that Uranus and Aries. And it's time to reevaluate what really matters to me according to myself, to the truth of who I really am. And yet we have to go backwards. We didn't quite get it. We're going to get this information about the deepest wounds of the feminine. And a lot of the wounds of the feminine, the goddess, have to do with this inability for the goddess to be expressed, that emotional, empathic side was deeply repressed in our culture, particularly in the Piscean age. So this is a huge opportunity in 2017 to reclaim the wholeness of who we are, step outside of the box of conformity, have the courage and the strength to express the truth of who we really are, no matter what anybody thinks. And so this full moon is a really powerful, potent time to come together and tap into this energy of having that courage and strength to sing your song and to have that awakening. Now, the rooster is courageous in that it's going to sing its song. It's also the first one up in the morning, and it's also about protecting the group. So it's got all this strength and all this expression and all this fearlessness, but it's also that's all there in order to protect the flock. And so this energy is really interesting because this Uranus is so potent this year, the ruler of Aquarius, and Uranus is lightning fast change, revolution, and awakening. And so the rooster is cock-a-doodle-doo, first one up in the morning. It's time to wake up, folks. And what are we waking up to? We're waking up to that internal identity shift of who we really are and what we really care about. And then, of course, the humanitarian ideals of the Aquarian age of when we get to that point, when we get to that core place of what this Venus activation is really asking us to do, what we really care about, what really matters to us, we find that it's pretty much the same in all of humanity. And so we are when we stand up for our individual truth and what's really real for us and what really matters, we're also, it's a way of being in service to humanity. And so the social change, the revolution of this time is a very internal, personal process where each of us is deciding it's time to step out of the box and manifest that new reality. So this mystic rectangle, and then also if you add in the grand fire trine, it makes a star in the sky. This is about manifesting, bringing into reality our gifts, the truth of who we really are, shining like a star, no matter what kind of conformity or judgment is around us. Because the element of shining our truth and expressing who we really are is the core of the evolution of humanity. And so each of us individually taking this step to step out of the box and have the courage to be who we really are is the healing that the world needs. So with that Chiron energy, Chiron square Saturn, but Venus and Mars doing that dance with Chiron and square Saturn, Venus moving forward, taking that retrograde. Now, it's interesting because Venus and Mars have been close together. And typically what happens is that Venus will come up and conjunct Mars and then pass Mars. But Venus, it's not happening. It's chasing to Mars, but it's not quite getting there before it takes its retrograde because it's slowing down. And so these planets stay 5 degrees apart, maybe close to 4 degrees apart for this first half of February. This really interesting place. And then Venus starts to move into that retrograde and they move further apart. And so now they don't come back together until October of this year. So this is energy really reconciling the differences in the male and female, allowing the goddess rebirth, allowing this re-identification with what really matters to us, what's really important in humanity, manifesting a new life outside of the box that represents the truth of who we really are by each individual having the courage and strength to express what really matters to them. And so this is the dance of 2017, and it's all about this Uranus. Uranus is so potent right now across from that Jupiter, and Jupiter is expansion and growth and bigness, and it brings that energy. And whenever Uranus has this unexpected kind of out of the blue kind of electrical type of energy. And so Jupiter is associated with luck. So you've got expansive luck and unexpectedness. So this is a great time, even though these planets are in opposition, they're so harmonized right now because during this full moon, the sun is in a trine with Jupiter, and also we have that grand fire trine, and also Saturn is in triangle with Uranus. So this fire activation is incredibly harmonized, and there's just so much support for stepping out of the box and being who you really want to be. So set that intention with this full moon, and I hope you can make the live activation that will happen on Friday, February 11th. Go ahead and sign up for that. It's free. You just need to put your email in and you'll get a link to this page. Now that's a live activation. You can go and get on the chat right away. Let me know how you're feeling with this full moon coming up so I can address your needs directly in the activation. And if you can't make the live activation, the energy of the live full moon lunar eclipse in Leo is encoded into this activation, and with that same link you can immediately access the replay at any time and still tap into the energy. So it's an amazing time to be on the planet, and I hope that you can join me for an empowered awakening experience. I look forward to the activation and working with you in the future, and so we can all stand up and be the Fire Rooster, live from our truth, and demonstrate that light to the people around us. Demonstrate that we don't need to stay in this box of negativity and programming anymore. We can step out and express the truth of humanity, have that Uranus and Aries revolution within the self, and move to a higher level of consciousness, where this Aquarian energy is helping us to get perspective that all we've been going through is about breaking free. And this is a year, if you want to take this opportunity to break free of those chains, step out of that box, be who you really are, and be the gift that the world needs right now. So I look forward to seeing you on the activation and also in the future. I hope you have a wonderful month. I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.